What is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video today. Man, I thought I made a good video last night. It was just one, and then I went to sleep, and Hot Toys forgot that May 4th was last week because they released a bunch of Star Wars tonight. But let's talk about the first one, and the most important one here is Obi-Wan. They have two versions, the Artisan version and the sculpted hair version. Now, let me say this. The Artisan, I'm sure it's going to sell out. However, is this the one that you wanted? And let me say this because I do like the Obi-Wan from the show Kenobi. I liked it at the time. They improved the head sculpt. I think it looked better than the prototype that they announced. However, it's still, if I have to rate it, I would say it's like a 7.5, and that's me being generous. Considering the state we're in at right now as far as collecting, where they're pushing the envelope, just higher and higher. This one it looks like a recycled head sculpt. They smoothened the face, they removed some of the wrinkles, they lightened the hair and the beard. They should have trimmed the beard a little, I guess, fuller as well, because what was this, like 20 something years ago? His beard is not as full, it's actually a bit lighter, and he's so much younger. Of course, they should have used a different head sculpt. Now, I'm not saying that they won't, because they definitely could improve, upgrade this head sculpt. They did it with Kenobi, so there's no question that they actually might do that here. But dropping $500, and the rooted hair looks fine, honestly, so as the sculpted hair. We talked about this rooted hair. The Artisan is strictly rooted hair. It doesn't mean that the boots are going to be leather. It has no other improvements but the rooted hair. With that being said, do you really want to spend $500 on and let's assume that the rooted hair, and we all know that they've gone into some issues with Artisan. It's still not perfect. They're still in the infancy of this. Are you really willing to spend that much money and have a subpar head sculpt? Like the hair could be perfect because that's what you paid for the $200, but the face that is attached to that hair, and I'm saying this with all that, that, hey, the head sculpt, the hair would be perfect. Like in here, I have no problems with the hair. It looks fine. And I think it will be, because this has nothing. It's not like Joker, where it has different strands sticking out. This is mostly nicely styled and combed. So I think they will be fine, other than the one towards the end where it's kind of like sticking out at the end of the hair, the one that's draping down the shoulder. So I think you will be fine as far as the head sculpt. Hopefully you will be. I'm not guaranteeing that. But man, Anakin finally does have a running mate, because Anakin has been lonely for a while now. And I think this Anakin is a bit underrated, to be quite honest with you. But with that being said, I don't know. Like they made some strides here. I like the fact that they included a seamless wrist here, where you could exchange the from the elbows, the forearms of Kenobi, where you could. I wish that you could have that holding a lightsaber. I don't think you could, just because whenever you make that lightsaber look, it does tend to push down, and I mean the sleeves and all that stuff. But I like the one step closer to realism as much as they try to. In here, it looks good. Like you don't see any visible ball joints or anything, so that's a good progress right there. But I don't know about the head sculpt, honestly. I am not sold on it for this particular movie. He's younger. They should have used a different sculpt. Yes, it is decent, the one from Kenobi, but that was made for Kenobi. The timeline for that is pretty significant. His looks have changed drastically between two movies. You can't just smoothen out the skin, maybe make the nose a little smaller. As you age, your facial structure does change as well. Your hair your facial hair, the bone structure in your face. Maybe your nose gets a little bigger and all that stuff. I know I'm old now, so I can attest to that. But it's maybe it'll change. But being an artisan and exclusive, you are basically, especially how in demand this is gonna be, you are gonna pre-order this most likely blindly, thinking, hey, or hoping that they would improve this. But if not, are you gonna be okay with it sticking with this figure, paying $500 or maybe upwards of $550 to $600 out the door? I don't know. It's decent. Like I said, it's not bad. Looking at the hair now, so I'm guessing the way you access the rolling eyeball is underneath the head again, which is not bad, but they gotta do a better job, I would say, with the rolling eyeball system, because now you don't. Let's be honest, it's a little tight when you put it in and out. That didn't sound right. The head sculpt. I don't have an issue if it's sculpted hair. Normally what I do is I hold it on the side of the head so I don't scratch the face. And normally I'm holding the hair. But if now you have an artisan version where you don't really want to mess up the hair, so you want to hold it lightly, the process should be a little better as far, put a magnet on it, so it just snaps in and out without too much force. Because right now there is a groove in that peg that you kind of have to align. You kind of push it down. I don't know. I think the process is not friendly when it comes to the artisan real hair version. But I like this step forward. Like I like the inclusion of the hands. I think the hands is kind of bigger peg as well. I just got John Wick. The hand for that is amazing. Like the wrist covers for the most part the ball joint, and I wish the same way for Kenobi here. But we'll see. But I've been requesting for a new Kenobi, and it's finally here, because I think the older one kind of aged a little bit now. But this is we got the Kenobi, not the improvements that again, the artisan is cool, but I would have loved to see a different sculpt. We'll see. We're still a long ways for this being released. This could be just a placeholder for all we know, but we shall see. But let me know in the comments, how do you feel about this release? How do you think about the head sculpt or the overall release? Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.